Hi everyone, we're just coming online now with a fresh new art study. Short on time today when it comes to art study, so I'm going to see what I can do with this in like 30 minutes. So it's 12 past 2 now and we'll go to about 2:45. It's going to be a little more technical. I'm going to try and make it more technical than the last one. Which one was my nice brush? That one. Yeah, so how do I want to set up my Restream overlay? So yeah, anyway, we're not just going to do the two-tone thing. I'm going to try and dive into just trying to reproduce a color version. Excuse me, I've got webcam cables hanging in front of me. That should do it. Let's start off. I'm going to start with a canvas that's just kind of the darkest tone. Obviously, the point of this art study is mostly in trying to stretch my color muscles, because I'm pretty poor at it, honestly. My skill in like replicating colors is just frankly, well, you're going to see by the end of the stream, so I won't talk myself down too much. Maybe I'll impress myself. Who knows? But so what's my general strategy here? We started with kind of the dark tone. I'm going to kind of start with that two-tone exercise, which we've been doing, and block in some major shapes, which really is going to be a lot of this. In fact, I should start with a middle tone. Now, you might be wondering why we're just drawing some rocks, and that's because my job involves drawing a lot of rocks. So for me especially, I get a lot of bang for my buck by studying rocks, and I thought this particular rock was an interesting one. This photo I took myself. I don't know where. I just have a folder full of potential art study photos that I pulled this out of. It was from somewhere in Japan. That's all I remember. Not even sure what kind of rock this is. One of these days I should kind of learn different, what is it, like igneous and sedimentary and stuff like that. I should pick up the pace because, like I said, I want to see how far I can get in a half an hour. So we just block in some real big spaces. Kind of going to neglect the bottom left because that's where I've got my chat overlay. So we might not do much down there. Hey there, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Gilherm? Sorry, but regardless, thank you very much. And I should also remember this, that even if I fail to make a good replication, I can at least like immerse myself in the details of the rocks. That's my objective here, right? Is to study these rocks and understand them. So yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So we might even just like focus on like a particular part of it and neglect the rest of the canvas. Just get something going on. Inevitably, with only half an hour or so to play with, it's going to be pretty simple at the end. We're just going to start by dancing around the place and lay in some basic shapes just to help us kind of navigate. I'm starting off with those two tones like we did last time. Now these are the interesting bits to me, is like this formation here. Just the way the rocks crumble, because what is a rock except like a crumbling shape? And that the method to that crumbling is what I'm trying to understand so I can reproduce it in my maps. And what I need to is to play around with this brush. Right now I don't have much in the way of semi-transparency, because this was kind of my two-tone art study brush. I'm not well prepared for kind of a time trial art study, to be honest. But yeah, we're just seeing what we can do. I'll probably just go over time anyway. What usually happens. And there's like water here. That's pretty interesting. Like, is that water? Or like a little vein of some other material? If it's water, that's like seeping out of the rock there. Okay, small brush, please. I want much darker color. And a very small brush. We're working with a small canvas, so I get this like fracture line. So that's one of the things which I'm trying to seek out in this art study, is things like this, like a feature. Something I can reproduce when I want to draw a rock from my imagination. Okay, so where am I? This is why I set this canvas up, so I can kind of navigate. Regardless, I'm pretty lost. So this pointy bit must be this. Now again, I don't want to draw line art, so trying to break free of that, my default. I am working on my line art all the time, so when I sit down to do an art study, deliberately trying to escape just drawing lines. What we're doing instead is drawing shapes, right? Looking at what do look like lines. There's a lot of lines in this image, obviously, but really what it is shapes. So there's another fault line, so it kind of branches off here. Then here we'll fill this in with kind of midtones and stuff. You can see, even though we might not make a lot of progress on this in half an hour, and just by trying to reproduce it, it's kind of like the ultimate way for me to study a subject, is just try and draw it. Because you notice all these intricacies as you do so. And I'm completely lost. Yeah, I need to better define my shapes. A grand total of 3 different tones here. I really need semi-opaque brush, right? So, how do I use Photoshop? Looking for transfer. Opacity. Okay, so I do have semi-transparency. Well, did I just activate that when I checked the box? Yeah, okay, we've got it now. Makes me so uncomfortable how hard I have to press on this tablet to get the 100%. I just have to keep telling myself that it's designed for this kind of pressure. It feels like I'm pushing way too hard and I'm going to break something. Okay, hold on. There's I just realized the bit I'm painting is actually here. So we're just gonna have to make up some of this. Or I could like, what on earth was I thinking here? Yeah, I'm just completely lost, but that's okay. Like part of this practice is to gain the ability to draw rocks from the imagination. So this will just be our practice zone for that. We're gonna practice drawing rocks, just pretend rocks, because of this fortunate stuff up here. Should be using a larger brush. I've yet to set up any of those shortcuts I talked about in my last video, where I'd like to have some kind of button thing going on where I can change the brush size without reaching over here. Now another thing I need to utilize more is like hard and soft edges. So I'm allowed to just have blurry edges. It's encouraged. There's a bit of blue. That's the other thing I need, is just different colors. Hey Dan, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah, don't let me keep you up too long. Or maybe this is the kind of stream that will lull you to sleep. So yeah, okay, I'll take like 2 to 5 minutes to just mix in some color. And this is an interesting tone here. Like that's kind of where my skill is at with color, is I can recognize, hey, this isn't the color I'm using. It's some interesting new tone, but I can't yet like reproduce it. And like I said, we're not allowed to use the color picker, although I may like bend the rule for certain areas if I want to truly figure it out. Let's just do that if I get stuck. How about that? And I do want to exaggerate it, so we're going to dive into like purple bit. And there's also greens, all sorts of greens, especially up there. That's what this shape is. Oh boy, when I lean back and look at this, it's just hideous. It's a complete mess, but and then I ask myself, why am I streaming this? This is the travesty. But hey, kind of fun. Okay, there is more green in here. I don't think that's the way to go about it. Okay, right, so let's start defining some shapes, right? Need darker still. Yeah, so this kind of area here is where I currently have my stream chat sitting, so we're just going to leave that blank. Let's just commit some energy to this kind of section down here. Yeah, I do kind of like sharing this whole process, as embarrassing as it might be, because my hope is in a few years' time, I can kind of look back at this and laugh at myself. And hey, I'm sure it'll be encouraging for people who might not be very confident about their art skills to see somebody who's technically a professional also just stumbling completely when it comes to a new form of art. This all needs to be spectacularly blended some more. You see, like all this detailing, I need a special brush for that. I have all sorts of brushes here which I've never really utilized. But part of this particular study challenge is to not lean on your brushes, just to focus on form and shape, and to forget kind of about texturing altogether. So yeah. So let me try that. Let me direct my efforts into just form and shape. And I need to work kind of from big to small, right? No point doing these details while large portions of the canvas are completely untouched. Maybe the lesson here will be that half an hour isn't enough time to really get anything done in art study. Excuse me. I think we'll kind of cast a shadow into this area and let it be very, what's the word? Um, Abstract, perhaps? Okay, there's kind of it's parts of this photo which are just completely overexposed. So I think if we lift those out, that might be the way to go. You are supposed to kind of feel out your darkest points and your lightest points, because everything will be in between those 2 points after that. That kind of yeah, they kind of keep you on track in that way. Hey JP, thanks. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I used to do art studies like this fairly regularly in like 2015, but it's been so long. I'm basically starting again. So you're kind of coming along for the ride as I remember how to draw. Obviously, I draw almost every day and certainly every week for my job. But 2 Minute Tabletop art is such a familiar art style for me that it's not really, what am I trying to say? It's not really challenging at all. I'm kind of just following the course when I'm drawing 2 Minute Tabletop stuff. It's a routine, right? A very safe and non-challenging routine now. And it produces cool stuff. But these art studies are mostly for me to stretch my legs with different forms of art, which are definitely challenging to me and sometimes completely new. But often I have no idea what I'm doing. We're just kind of stumbling through things. But in between these streams I'm doing, I'm watching videos by people who do know what they're doing and talking about. So I'm not completely helpless. You don't see that on stream, but in between I am watching videos by prominent artists on YouTube and whatnot. I think this mid-tone layer I chose is just not the mid-tone actually, but this light layer is just completely off. So we kind of started off on the wrong foot with this one. But we'll do like a hue shifted version. I'm glad you like it, Dan. Let's see what the navigator looks like. Okay, you're right. When you look at it from afar, it does look like something. With my big monitor in front of me, I just see big splodges of zero detail. So kind of losing the forest for the trees kind of thing happening to me. But that is my experience with these art studies when I used to do them in like 2015-ish, was that the whole way through you feel like not coming together. It's not coming together. This one's going to be an enormous failure. But you just kind of keep putting the time in and keep adding detail, and I don't know, it works out, usually. Maybe another stream I'll just show off some of my 2015 stuff. Kind of cash in on all that work I did privately. We need this rock here is supposed to be here, so continues. I guess the trap I fall into, especially when I'm talking nonstop into the microphone, is that I'm not just trying to make a one-to-one replica. I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm trying to understand and study the thing, and I'm also supposed to take creative liberties and simplify certain things. I'm supposed to simplify most of the piece, right? That's the artist's primary objective, is to simplify what they're looking at to something that's pleasing to look at. Okay, I need to, let's carve out some of these interesting shapes. Quite literally carving, it feels like, because we're working with rocks. I do actually have some pretty cool brushes, which I'm planning on downloading soon. So maybe these art streams will get a little more brush heavy. Okay, yeah, this is the zone here right in the middle where I got very mixed up. So we're just making things up here. The other thing about these art studies is that this is the warm-up for my day, usually. So inevitably when you watch the warm-up, it's going to be mostly mistakes, I guess. But I do feel like I'm warming up. I feel like this is getting simpler. And I feel like when I look at certain parts, I'm like, okay, I understand what went wrong there, and I understand how to fix it. It's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm gonna just extend this little dribbly bit up to here. Need just a darker. Once you put a bunch of colors down, it gets easier, because you may have noticed me just jumping around here and grabbing colors from the canvas. That's why I usually try and start by just whacking down a bunch of different colors, the greens and the blues and etc. Going from there, because it simplifies everything that comes after that. I do need this color kind of present down here. I'm also forgetting the other objective of this exercise, which is to be very decisive with my shapes. Yeah, when I stop focusing, I feel my brushworks just devolve into little scribbles here, little scribbles there, which is fine and dandy. But for this particular exercise, I'm supposed to be very decisive. Like, okay, here is a kind of rhomboid shape. I'm going to block that in. It's not going to be like, yeah, here's a little bit of a semi-transparent, hazy thing. Yeah. I don't think much of what I said makes much sense, but okay. Even in my commentary, I'm only aiming for about 80% understandability. When I'm not streaming, I try and just do one thing at a time, like completely devote my attention to one thing at a time. Kind of just a rule of thumb that I live by. So when I start streaming, it's a very different experience, just for my entire being. Because, yeah, I'm just out of practice, I guess. Okay, it is coming together. This is some weird colors. I need to lean into this beige more. Since I put the beige down, we just gotta live with it. And we just hit the half an hour mark, which I said was the original guidelines to this little challenge. But let's go for another 15 minutes and see where that takes us. And let's devote this time to turning this into kind of a finished thing, which means we'll take what we have now and we'll just clean it up. That said, there are some shapes in here which I want to keep. It helps a lot to have this here because I can kind of look at this more than I'm looking at the main canvas, and it helps me see the kind of the large scale mistakes, like this rock face, which was very white. Still is. I do like. I'm one of those people who really enjoys speedruns of video games and like challenge mode stuff, like arbitrarily challenging yourself. So I really enjoy doing like time trial drawings like this. It also just helps me get out of kind of a bad habit I have of obsessing over minuscule details which nobody will ever notice. I'd get so much more done if I did less. Just ignoring the tree. This is a rock study, so we're not wasting our time with trees. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of rock stuff going on here, which we want. Hey Nick, I usually make content for D&D. This today is just an art study, which means I'm just doing. I'm like working out for an artist. This is just drawing for the sake of getting better at drawing. So usually I'm making D&D content, but not today. And I have a feeling that this channel is going to become mostly art studies. I want to mix a lot more art study into my routine. Yeah, this, more of that. Can we move my chat over here? And we'll do a little bit of detailing. It looks like we won't need much though. There is an interesting gradient happening, which I can't really express with this brush. Ugh. Can I smudge that around? Oh. Hmm. Yeah, this is the perfect place to leave things kind of abstract in this shadowy area. So we're just making these nebulous blobs to kind of suggest more rocks in there. I think the play now is to kind of zoom out and do some value corrections. Like this shouldn't be so dark. And then this should be darker. Then there's kind of a shape around here. But we do need certain areas also to be lighter. So that's another tendency I noticed with my stuff is that I always tend towards too dark. Yeah, I wish I used more color. We definitely, next time we do this, we'll start off just with a bunch of interesting colors and go from there. And then do kind of the color picking method. Because this is all just one beigey mess compared to the original where you can see greens and blues. Definitely a lot more blue here. I mean, also the beige we started with was just off. It's wrong. So, but you know, there's also beige in here, so not bad. And you know, I think I'll be a little bit better at drawing rocks after today. That was the main goal. I'm getting way too loose with those shapes. And in fact, this might be the way to go. Like right now, I'm just looking up here, hardly looking over here. I think that's kind of the strategy to use next time, especially when I'm starting out and just blocking in shapes, is to use this kind of thumbnail view. All these cracks and lines right here is what's most interesting to me, so maybe we'll spend some time over here. Yeah, I think maybe just because it's a rock face, but the lines are what really sells it in this case. It's fine if we break away a little bit from our original objective. Maybe I'm biting off more than I should with this art study. I'm trying to do a rock study and a shape study and a color study all at the same time. So and they're kind of competing with each other. So maybe that's a lesson I can take going forward is, yeah, just to kind of pick one or two of those things at a time. Hmm. More lines, just a few more lines. Actually, we just need a bunch more lines because look how good it's making it look over here. So let's just abandon our shape study. We did our shape study. Shape study is completed, and now we're moving on to a completely different study where we're locking in lines, I guess. And to be honest, this is kind of the rock study starting now. Because when I draw rocks, the entire decision process is just where to place these fractures in the rocks. So for me, doing rock studies like this and just drawing fractured rocks is like the ultimate 2-minute tabletop homework. because rocks show up everywhere in fantasy, whether it's real, raw rocks in the wilderness, or rocky floors in a dungeon, or brickwork in a city, just rocks all the way down. So you can take this kind of study and use it every single day. Drawing battle maps. Okay, this big fracture through here. That's kind of what this piece is missing, is this photo has very clear fractures, like lines through it. And my version is kind of lacking that. They're obviously there, but they're not their same prominence as in the original. So let's see what we can do. I feel like it's not just the extremely dark fractures, which I'm trying to enhance now. It's also these shadows immediately around them. Like if here, for example, this shadow was like completely missing. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to call this done. Yeah, so this is the 45-minute-ish mark. Said originally we'd go for half an hour because I do have plenty else to do today, but we got to the half an hour mark and I said, let's give it 15 minutes more. And here we are at the 15 minutes more mark, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm looking at it in like 1080p, and it's pretty rough up close, but when I look at the preview, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that was quite a success. So lessons I can draw out of this study, I think I bit off more than I can chew when it comes to an actual study. I tried to do too many things at once, study too many different subjects at once, and next time I just gotta focus on one or two simple things at a time. But yeah, I think in terms of studying rocks, it was a good time. And even now, at the end of 45 minutes, if I were to do this again, it would be better, right? So in that sense, I've grown as an artist. Another little trick is I should work at this kind of scale at a very thumbnail kind of scale especially when I'm just starting out. And I should start out by blocking in a bunch of colors. These are just like my mental notes for my future self. But yeah, perhaps there are other amateur artists watching this now or in the future who will appreciate the mental breakdown. Mental breakdown, that's something else. The breakdown of my mental notes. Yeah, cool. All right. I have some other rocks too in my photo collection. We might come back to rocks sometime soon, but that's going to be today's study. Big thanks to everyone who stopped by along the way and anyone who might be watching in the future. I hope you gained something from this, and I hope you'll join me next time. Other than that, have a good one, and goodbye.